Oh, yummy. Oh, that was lovely. Oh, hi, good morning. Tippity tip top of the morning to you. We. Whew. How it do? It do well. Thank you for asking. How it do with you? Good morning, specters. Good morning, plebs. I look radiant. Oh. Ducks and chickens are let out and enjoying themselves. Awesome. It's good to hear. They better be. They better be. You LS swap your car or something? How are you hitting 500, dude? I'm doing 500 and I'm out of control. And there's nowhere to go. And there's no way to slow. Such a glorious beard. My dad would be proud. He would? Of me? Your dad had no role in this beard. Why would he be proud? No reason to be proud. Invited a girl over, but couldn't get hard. Feels bad. Ooh. It's happened to me before, dude. Look, every guy has a day. Every guy's got a day where it's just like little jambalaya, little Paul, little Bob, little Joseph, the worm on a hook. It just doesn't want to play, you know. It happens. I'm telling you, man. It just happens. What are you gonna do? Paul, do you remember when I used to join your Google Hangouts and shove Chinese food into a fleshlight? No. No, I don't remember that. I would think I would remember that, but I securely do not. Paul, do you remember? Oh, yeah, same thing. Do I enjoy blunts? Yes, I do. Twitter no longer supports your browser. Oh boy. What were you using? Netscape Navigator, bro? Like, what browser doesn't get supported by Twitter? If the girl likes you, then she's just going to be like, oh, I'm excited that this guy wants to smash. I guess. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that other than, like, sometimes it just doesn't happen, dude. Paul, I think I'm close to becoming another opioid overdose statistic. What do? I mean, stop. Get help. Stop. Get help. You better not. I don't want no Highdeologites dropping dead from no fucking pleb-ass opioid crisis shit. You guys got to be smarter than that, right? If you're watching me. I realized the ridiculousness of that statement as it was coming out of my mouth. Stop, drop, and roll up, yeah. Any preferences for keyboards? I like like a nice loud mechanical keyboard. I like cherry blue switches. It's like kind of that medium click. I don't like the reds because the reds are like clack, 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 clack. The blues are like click, 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 click. So I like cherry blue MX switches, and that's about it. Mechanical keyboard. Pretty much any keyboard will do as long as it meets those specs. Dude, I'm proud of myself for getting this fire going today. Wet kindling and all. Wet kindling and kind of damp wood, and I got a roaring fire going, dude. I am a mountain genius. Everybody else around here is probably looking in my backyard as they drive by going like, how did he get a fire going? All my wood is wet. That's right. That's right. Paul, aren't you going through wood really fast? No, not really. I mean, this is a little tiny burn barrel here. So there's what, like 4 logs in there? And this will burn like, I don't know, like an hour like this probably? No. No, man, we're good. Don't be, look, keep your concern based on me if you have to, okay? Don't worry about the wood. Don't be wood concerned. There's no need for that. Got a tiny little burn barrel here, that's all. That's all I'm interested in. I got half a cord of wood. It's an insane amount. I think Paul got a full cord, so he said, no, I just chopped probably what amounts to like a quarter cord of wood, or maybe a little more than a quarter cord of wood yesterday, so I don't have a full cord. I'm gonna order a cord after this if I go through this quicker than I anticipate, but I really don't think I'm going to. By the time this stuff is through, I'll be able to rent the chainsaw one more time and take care of the green stuff that I chopped this last time. And I've got a dead tree over there that I want to take down off the fence line. It's just there for no reason. So pull down a dead tree, chop that up, and then there's a pile of wood over there by my driveway where I kind of trimmed shit back away from my driveway. It's all green. Want to let that dry out. And then there's a big branch over there that fell naturally off of one of these eucalyptus trees. And so I want to let that dry out, chop it up. Can't you just pick some up at a country gas station? I mean, I guess so, yeah. If you want to pay out the ass. What's the point of burning the wood? To stay warm when it's cold? And to enjoy the sound and smell and crackle of a fire? And to get rid of it so it's not just like piles of dead wood sitting all over my property? How's my life in New Mexico? It's wonderful. It's fan-fucking-tastic. I can't even tell you. I can't even fucking tell you anymore. Spiritual enrichment. I don't know about that. Paul, the only anarcho-primitivist who orders wood. I haven't ordered wood yet. I said I would order wood. And I chopped my own wood yesterday, Piotr. So don't give me no shit. I chopped my own wood yesterday. Wood that was just laying on my property was chopped. You gonna get too warm being that close. You gonna get toasty. You better be careful. If you want to play fetch, we can do it, but you gotta be careful. No by the fire. Come here. Let's play some fetch. Let's show the people how good you are at it. Ready? Come on. Bring it back quick. Bring it back quick. Watch the fire. Come on. Bring it back quick. Quick question. Was last night's stream the one where I asked if I could go over to my stream tomorrow? I have stoner brain. Yeah, I think so. I think it is. But you don't have to ask. You can, like I said, you can use whatever it is you want to use. But yeah, you said last night you wanted to go over the stream. On your stream. I don't care what you do with Highdeology. Steal it. Chop it up. Put a big dildo on my face. That's what it's here for. To be mocked and besmirched. Stolen and used and abused. Taken. Oh, Paul, don't tempt me. Do it, man. I wish more people did it. Dude, I wish I had like, dude, there's people in the fog walking the rails. Okay. I mean, it's not super foggy today, but I just looked over there and there's like a group of people and a dog walking the rails. You might want to get off the rails. Do you see children as a person choice or simply being irresponsible? Well, that depends, right, on how well you're taking care of your children. So if you decide to have children and you plan for them and you make sure that you're financially stable and psychologically stable enough to support a child, and you have a child, then I look at that as a personal preference kind of thing. If you just kind of raw dick everything in the vicinity or allow yourself to be raw dicked by everything in the vicinity and you pop out an oopsie baby and ignore it, then, you know, I consider that to be a problem. My mom used to always tell me that you can feel a train like a mile away unless you're nodded out. I guess so, yeah. I don't know, man. All it makes me think of is that Ray Brower kid back in the summer of 1952. It was the greatest summer of our lives. And the last summer where we all felt like kids. When the night has come and the land is gone and the moon is the only light we'll see. Dum, Bum, 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 bum. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. Have you seen the movie Train Spotting? I have seen the movie Train Spotting. Rename Highdeology to Pideology. Make it about pies. Cakes and pies, cakes and pies. Cakes and pies, cakes and pies. How'd I get so charismatic, dude? When I was like strength and sanity were my dump stats. Let's put it that way. I maxed charisma and dumped strength, dexterity, and sanity at character creation when I was, you know. I'm drinking 57% rum and it burns, but it's manly. 57%. It's like 50 proof. Man, fuck that shit. Get you some 90 proof fucking Everclear or something and talk to me about it. I don't want to hear about you sipping on fucking 50 proof, whining about it. Paul, have you and your friends ever gotten in trouble with the police? Me and my friends? I mean, not really, no. There was a couple of times we almost got busted when I was a teenager. We were in the park in my little hometown in this area we used to call a bowl, which is this dip in the park that makes this kind of basin. And when you're down in there, you can't really see, you know, people, like if you're laying down on a blanket or sitting down on a blanket in the bowl, people really can't see you from the streets. And so that was one of our go-to places at night. And if we got too loud, like a neighbor that lived by the park might call the cops, and the cops would like swing by and spotlight the park. And we'd all like just like lay flat and wait for him to do a few passes, and then we'd move on. We'd find another spot to go drink. So that happened a couple of times. And then there was the one time where I got like total white privilege pass with a cop over some weed. Like I probably should have a weed record, let's put it that way, in Arizona of all fucking places. When Joe Arpaio was the sheriff of fucking Maricopa County too. That would have been great. I think I've told this story before, but since it came up organically, I'll tell it again. I listened, or I used to live with a classical pianist named Jonathan. I can't remember his last name, not that I would tell it to you. But Jonathan was a very, very talented classical pianist. He had a baby grand piano, and he was a concert pianist, so he was constantly practicing during the day. And he and I were big potheads together as roommates. And one night, we usually like, because we didn't have a lot of money. So we would usually go real light on the weed, split a bowl, roll a joint, and pass it back and forth, and we'd get a little high. Well, one night, we came into some weed. We had a bunch of weed, and I told him that I knew how to roll a honey blunt, and he'd never had a honey blunt. I remember Jonathan. He was a funny dude. I remember the smile that he got on his face. Like, that just popped into my head when I said the word honey blunt. Whenever I say the word honey blunt or roll a honey blunt or think about a honey blunt, I always think of Jonathan because he was so excited. He got this grin on his face. And I was like, you want me to do it? He's like, yeah, do it. So I went and got some Swishers, and I cracked a honey blunt for us. rolled it up, twisted it up all nice, and we sat there and chiefed a honey blunt and got totally, you know what I mean, wrecked. And it was like, I don't know, a weekday, like a fucking Wednesday, but it was both of our nights off from work. We both worked at Starbucks. That's where we met. It was both of our nights off from work, and so I don't remember whose idea it was, but he sat down at his piano and started playing some music and shit. And I was sitting there stoned, just like total. I used to love listening to him play. I used to just sit in the living room and just like close my eyes and listen to him play. And so I was doing that all stoned. And all of the sudden, he's playing like a song. I used to love Allegro Barbaro, so he might have been playing that, but he's probably moved on to something else. Playing something on his grand piano, and he's all into it because he's stoned, you know. He was very performative when he played the piano. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen somebody that really, like, plays high-level, fucking super, super precise concert piano. But he would be very, like, facially and body movement into it, and so he's doing his thing, you know, and I'm sitting there stoned, like, oh, fuck, yeah. Set down the blunt, and all of a sudden I hear this, like, on the door, and I turned to look, and I guess when we came in, we hadn't closed the door already, like all the way. It was like open a crack, and so when this person knocked, the door went, and I'm sitting there like, and I'm thinking for a second, like, the first thought that went through my mind was, it's a neighbor or something, probably, coming to tell us to keep it down. Fucking door swings open, and it's just a Maricopa County Sheriff's officer standing there. And I was like, I looked on the fucking table, and there's, you know, the little bit of the honey blunt still smoking in the ashtray. The whole house reeks of weed. Like, when the door swings open, the first thing I see is him, and then the next thing I see is him go like, because when the door swung open, a big billowing cloud of fucking weed came like, and hit him in the face. And he was like, I was like, oh, fuck. I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail in fucking Arizona. Oh my fucking God, bro. What am I doing? So cop fucking opens up the, you know, he didn't open it. He just knocked on it and it went, and he's like, boys having fun tonight, huh? And I remember Jonathan going, yes, sir. And the cop like looked around kind of a little bit, looked around the thing. He said, you guys the only two people here? I said, yeah, we're roommates. He said, huh? He said, you know, the funny thing is, he said, I got a call about loud classical music. And he's like, when I showed up, I could hear it when I was walking up to your door, and I kind of figured it would be, you know, somebody just playing it on some speakers. I didn't realize there'd be a piano in here. And Jonathan was like, yeah, yes, sir, I'm a concert pianist. And he goes, oh. He was like, well, it was very pretty. But it's 2 a.m, so it's probably time for you boys to stop playing the piano now, huh? We were like, yes, sir. And he's like, all right. Closed the door behind him and left. And I was like, oh, thank you, white privilege. Thank you, white privilege. Oh, my God. The key is be white and listen to classical music. Yes, I missed a super chat. Let me see if I can get that. Here it is. Can I be one of your moderators? No, you can't. But thank you for asking, Piotr. Piotr. I know this guy. His name's Piotr. He likes to troll me by paying kroners. Bars. 1980s bars. I know this guy. His name's Piotr. He likes to pay me with Swedish kroners. 3 out of 10. Hey, better than a 0 out of 10. Had a police officer come to my apartment, found my roommate's weed stash, and began to critique the weed he had. My roommate was broke, so he pretty much took what he could get. Dude, that's gotta feel bad when a cop comes in and is like, man, your weed is shit, bro. Like, where are you getting it? Where do you even get this dirt weed from? Like, when a cop is saying that to you, bro. Ouch. That is game, set, match right there. There's no comeback. There's no comeback from that. Game, set, match, cop. You just gotta fucking let it go at that point. Okay, that's we're good. No caps. That's right. You tell him, Lord of Duck. TBH cops probably no good weed since they confiscate so much of it. Yeah. Oh, what is this, son? This looks like 2 doobies in a sandwich baggie right here. Did your mama know you're smoking this stuff? No, sir. I think you just better go ahead and run along now, oughtn't you? Yes, sir. And I ain't gonna catch you out here with this stuff no more, am I? No, sir. All right, get on now. Get on now. All right, they gone. Oh, shit. These kids got the good hookups. That's basically how it goes down in 90% of drug stops. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes down. I'm pretty sure that's the game. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe I don't know for sure. For my theme song, my leather black jeans on, my by any means on. Come on. Dad's got to get his charger. So if you're following me to get inside the house, probably a bad idea. His dad he's not coming back inside. Just getting his charger. Middle America plaqued in. Came to see me and my black skin. Number one question they asking. Fuck every question you asking. I'ma wear him a king. Hop out the tomb, bitch. Hop out the room, bitch. You neighbors ain't doing shit. These neighbors ain't doing shit. Neighbors, dude. That's the word. That's the word you gotta use. Somebody told me that, and I was like, damn, it does work, though. It's kind of lame, but it does work. If I knew what I knew in the past, I would have been blacked out on your ass. Paul, you can have the N-word pass. See, you can't do it anymore. Back in the day, right, when people had like a close group of personal friends and that was it, you could get an N-word pass or an F-slur pass from your friends or whatever. But on the internet, Dude, I can't individually get an N-word pass from everybody, every black person. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't work that way anymore. Now, I happen to think that most black folks, at least the ones that I have run into, interacted with, both online and in real life, appreciate the fact that somebody that isn't black appreciates black music and has taken the time to learn these lyrics and learn these performances and stuff. And I think that that's more concerning to most people that I've interacted with than a white guy contextually using the N-word while reciting lyrics to a rap song. That being said, that's not the way most people feel. And I can understand why. Most people don't know the context. They don't know that I'm a dude that really appreciates hip hop and have since I was a little boy. They don't know that I'm a dude that really respects the culture and respects the artists in it and that knows a little something about rap, at the very least, the older stuff, and is learning about the new one. They don't have all that context. All they see is just a white dude saying the N-word. And I can get that. And I can't expect them to know all that. And there are a lot of people out there that just throw that shit around and use oh, I'm just singing it in the song, or I'm just saying a lyric from a song or whatever. And that's one of the ways that, non-black people that like to use that word excuse it away. So I understand that. So that's why I just don't do it anymore. Not publicly. I mean, it's pretty easy to just not say it. I agree. Especially with neighbors, dude. That's the perfect word. Neighbor and neighbors. If you really gotta recite the song, just do it that way, and then nobody's gonna be offended. It really, quite frankly, isn't my word to throw around flippantly. I'm not a black person. I might appreciate that culture and I might appreciate the music that comes out of it, but that doesn't mean I have any ownership over the use of that word colloquially. Now, I can say it if I want to. There's nobody slapping a piece of tape over my mouth, but I choose not to because I can understand the complex history behind the word, and I can understand the complex set of emotions, at very least, understand, if not empathize with the complex set of emotions that a black person might feel when they see a white person saying that, for whatever the contextual reason is. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to be okay with it. I'm trying to be okay with everybody. I don't want somebody with black skin to be turned off to me immediately just because they pop into my stream or whatever, and I'm in here doing a Kanye rap and I'm dropping N-bombs and they're just like, oh, okay, another white guy that just flippantly uses the N-word. Cool. Let me just miss this. I don't like that. I don't like that idea. What if one gave you a pass? I've been given a pass by individual black people before. My best friend from about sophomore year of high school through, I don't know, when I got divorced or so, is a black dude. And he and I used to rap back and forth, and he'd have no problem with me using the word contextually and shit. I never called him it, obviously. Didn't have an impulse to call him it. But he was cool with it. But I just explained to you how that's different, right? Because the interactions that he and I had were between he and I. So for him to be like, dude, it's cool, you know what I mean? It's contextually, because we both like rap, for you to say the N-word when there's a rap lyric or whatever, I'm not gonna flip out. That was kind of an unspoken thing between me and him. But that doesn't, I didn't, you know what I mean? Every other black person in the world doesn't know me. You know what I mean? They don't know what kind of person I am. They don't know what the, agenda, if there is one, is behind my use of that very controversial word for white people to utter. They can't have all that fucking context, and I can't give it to them. So it's just as easy for me to excise it from my public fucking vocabulary, use it contextually only when I absolutely fucking have to. And to try and have talks like this where I explain my contextual use of it from time to time. But it's just as easy for me, quite frankly, to not say the fucking shit. Chugga, 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 choo choo. Ignorant chat. What if King of All Blacks gave you a pass? Well, okay. If King of All Blacks from the Howard Stern show gives me a pass, then I'm pretty sure that I'm cool with everybody, but he hasn't, so. I mean, I got my black card from Tim Black. Back on DP, you guys remember that? He gave me my black card. He made me an honorary member of the black race, like an honorary doctorate or whatever. You know what I mean? But that was just him. To him, I'm an honorary member of the black race. You know what I mean? Yeah, he knighted me into personal blackness. I mean, everybody is officially a person of color. Nobody is grayscale, you know? So I guess technically everybody is a person of some color. I don't think that's what the term POC means, though. I mean, I know it means person of color, but albinos have color. Like, they're not pure fucking absence of color. They've got a color. It's just a very pale color. An albino, a mosquito, my libido, yeah. Poor Kurt. That song just haunted him till his dying day. He hated it. But it's such a good song. It's just such a, what do you kids say these days? It's such a bop, dude. Like, how could you not love it? I have never dated a black woman before, no. A bop, dude. Yeah, that's what the kids say. When a song is good, it's a bop, dude. It bops. Bop it. Twist it. Poke it. Fuck it. Suck it. Throw it. Kill it. Shoot it. Slap it. Whack it. Hack it. Kick it. Flip it. Twist it. Bop it. Hop it. Stop it. Master TJ seems most pleased with my work. Well, good job, Peyton. A good servant ought to take pride in a happy master. Paul, would you ever date a trans person? I sure would. I sure would. Under the correct circumstances, I would date anybody. Those circumstances being that I feel a connection with that person, romantically, sexually, physically, and otherwise. Well, you might be right, any names, but don't do the all cap shit. Is Teen Spirit a vape flavor? No, it was actually a deodorant. I don't even know if it's still a deodorant, but back in the day, Teen Spirit was a deodorant for young people. And so that is the Teen Spirit referenced in Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was like a roll-on deodorant for young people. Did you ever hang out with Billy again? I feel like your chemistry was great. Dude is hilarious. Absolutely. No, me and Billy, like, we're not friends in the sense that, like, we talk every day or whatever, but we still check in on each other. And I have a feeling like if he were to pop over here, I were to pop over at his place, or we were to meet up somewhere, it'd be just, we'd leave off, or we'd start up right where we left off, you know? Like, I'll always be down with Billy. And Billy was a cool cat to me, never did me wrong. A really funny dude, really talented fucking guy, really fucking smart guy. So yeah, I got nothing but love for Billy the Fridge. He's got my phone number and I've got his. Let's put it that way. We don't ever call each other. We text each other every once in a blue moon. We hit each other in the DMs every once in a while. You know, check in and all that stuff. Would you date Billy? Would I date Billy? I mean, I don't know. I don't even think Billy's on the market. Neither am I. So it's kind of a moot question, isn't it? I guess so. If the circumstances were correct, circumstances in my life and circumstances in his life were different. Or maybe Billy is single. Like, I honestly don't know. But I know I'm not. But sure, I'd top Billy the Fridge. Ooh. If I got the chance to top Billy the Fridge, would that be cool with you, honey?
Huh?
If I got the chance to...
What kind of topping?
You know exactly what kind of topping I'm talking about.
He's not your type.
I know he's not my type, but I might step outside my type for Philly the Bridge, you know what I mean?
Is he bi?
You can... I don't know. I don't care. I don't plan on asking for it. I plan on taking it. I'm just kidding. That's a rape joke. That's not funny. Paul's ego, no more rape jokes.
TJ was getting in trouble for yesterday on Twitter.
Oh, did he make a rape joke? Yeah. Can we rewind the stream and erase the rape joke? I'm not going to rape anybody. I pulled it off, though. Time yourself out. Yeah, I know. 300 seconds. That's it. I'm not going to talk for 300 seconds. I'm timed out in my own chat. That's the only way it happens to me is if I do a racism or if I do a rape joke or a sexism. 300 seconds. Starting now.
Why don't you show them the flames for all that 300 seconds? They get flame retribution. Burning away the rape joke. Imagine it going directly into the fire, wisping away. Get some Dynor consolation too. D, come say hi to the chat. Careful. Say hi to the chat.
Give me your ball.
Don't put it on the ground. Bring it to Daddy. Pick it up. Pick it up. No? Pick it up.
All right, I think that's 300 seconds. All right, my timeout is over. Woo! Man, I learned my lesson this time. I'll tell you that much. No more joking about raping your friends, Paul Zigo. It's not even funny, even if you're friends with somebody.
Hey, look, it's Chunky Blue Jay.
That's one of them. One of the two Blue Jay bros is out. Dinor is so cute. I know. His sweater is just... he's cute in everything, though. Every time we put something on him, it makes you want to squeal.
He's cute, shaved butt naked.
Yep.
Cute, shaggy.
He just can't help but be cute. He's just too cute to poot. I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, the rooster. I think the rooster has been very confused. Because it's been... overcast and foggy for about 3 days in a row now. And, so the sun doesn't ever really fully come out on a day like that. And I think the rooster is just like, come on. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Where's the sun? It's like, I'm seeing the light, but I ain't seeing the sun. Cock-a-doodle-doo. You okay there, D? This looks like you're a little close to that fire pit, but if it's not, if it's fine, I'm assuming you would move if anything was a problem. So it probably feels pretty good. Warming up. Dogs don't feel pain. Oh, I didn't know that.
Pretty sure that.
That's total fucking horseshit. He's getting toasty by the fire. He's toasting his bones.
How's it close to the propane tank? It's like 20 feet away.
What?
The fire.
What do you mean?
The fire is like 20 feet away from the propane tank.
At least.
Yeah.
People are stupid. People don't understand. Like, I'm not like, my fire barrel's not sitting right next to my propane tank. 20 feet is pretty close. All right, well, I guess if I die in a big propane explosion because I had a controlled burn barrel.
You had a propane expert come here with
Yeah.
the fire on.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't say anything, but somebody in chat's got a problem.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're the real propane expert.
Yeah, the guy
Not
can't...
someone that's been doing it for like 15 years.
Right.
Or was it longer?
I don't fucking know. Like, oh, you're talking about my friend that visited?
Yeah.
He's been doing it his whole fucking life. Like, his dad was a propane dude. His dad was like a big propane manager guy at a big propane company back where I live. And he does the same shit. And he came back here and sat for hours and didn't have anything to say about how dangerous my burn barrel was. But for some reason, chat knows, dude. Is D from my rescue shelter? No, D is not from a rescue shelter. So somebody in Ashley's family, extended family, had a pair of little dogs who had puppies. These two little dogs were they were less than half the size of Dinor apiece. And they were little white Maltese-looking mutts. And that's about the size of a dog we wanted because we wanted a little apartment dog. And Dinor was the only one that had any color on him out of the litter. The rest of them were this like white and cream kind of color. He's okay. He'd move if he was too hot.
I just want to give him a chance to realize.
He's fine.
Nap.
Feel on his side there and see how hot it is.
His leg's pretty warm.
It's warm, though. He like it. He wants to go back. But anyway, no.
It didn't roll under this time.
Yeah. He was the only one that had color on him. He was the one that stuck out to us, so we picked him, and that's how we got him. So he didn't come from a rescue shelter. He was like a family friend, had a pair of dogs that, for whatever reason, their dumbasses didn't get fixed, and they had puppies, and Dinar was a result of that. So he would have ended up in a shelter probably had we not taken him.
Cricket is full-blooded animal rescue cat.
Yep, you should be proud of that too. You should be proud of a couple of things about cricket. Number one, black cats, as much as people say that they love them and cat people say that they love them, are the least adopted cats.
Well, they're not photogenic enough.
Right.
Now. It's not that they're afraid.
They're hard to capture against normal backgrounds because they're black, so their features don't show off in photography unless they're really well lit. And so people they want white cats, or they want the tabbies or the spotty ones. That's the tabbies, right? Calicos. You know what I mean? And so those black cats that are in shelters, they tend to sit there until they get euthanized. So not only did you do the right thing by going to an animal shelter and rescuing an animal that probably would have been euthanized otherwise, but you picked an animal that probably had a way higher chance of being euthanized. And it's even more true. This is a sad statistic, but absolutely true. It's even more true of dogs.
Yeah.
Black dogs.
Yeah. Well, they're like all like demonic in movies and shit.
I don't even know what it is. Whatever size they are, the little Chihuahuas that are black, the big fucking black Doberman type of dogs, they die in shelters at a greater rate than any other type of dog.
And he was a bottle baby. So
It's just true.
Even if he was at a no-kill shelter, they kill bottle babies all the time, and it doesn't count as a kill.
Right. And when I used to volunteer at that shelter out there, and the lady that owned it, so there's this lady that like owns the shelter I used to volunteer at back in Fresno, and she owns the land. She started it. It's her. She lives there. And so I was talking to her once, and she gave me that statistic. She was just telling me that. And I asked her, why is that? And she says that she thinks that it's because of like the whole ill omen thing that's tied. Right. Like ravens are ill omens. Like animals that are all black are in movies and in folklore and stuff tend to be like ill omens, like a black cat. And she was like, that stuff, like most adults know that stuff is all hooey. But there's still this subconscious aversion to those types of animals that,
especially if there's like a selection or something.
Right. If you've got a little fluffy white dog standing next to a little fluffy black dog, and they're both equal and they both make a great pet,
my mom
9 times out of 10 people are gonna grab that little poof ball.
My mom's adopted 2 black dogs now.
Yeah.
Maisie was black and Jasmine's black.
Yeah. So my 2 dogs back when I was married were both rescues and both all black Chihuahuas. Well, Koopa was black and white. Yoshi all black. And they were both high risk for never being adopted. But
he's jogging so far away.
He's jogging like on a whole different plane of existence from us. You don't even need to be aware of him, let alone bark at it. Yeah. All right. Well, he ran away. You see how he ran away? I mean, he was already running, but...
Dinor, you did it. He's gone.
He showed you. You showed him. He's gone. Look, he went all the way around the corner. He doesn't want to fuck with you at all. He wanted nothing. He wanted nothing. He wanted none. He turned back. He heard you, and he turned back, and he looked. And did he stop? Nope.
He kept running.
He kept running. You did it. Good boy. Good boy.
Yeah, his bark is intense.
That's the hound breed. So Dinor, we did his little swab test thing. I know I've told people before, but he is Cocker Spaniel, Chihuahua, Shih Tzu, Hound. So
Hounds include like foxhounds or basset hounds or whatever.
Right.
They're hunting dogs that
So-
are supposed to be heard from like 2 miles
right.
away.
So the reason that Dinor had, for such a medium-sized dog, has such a piercing bark is because of the hound. It's also why he has this prey drive thing that he does where he likes to sniff everything. But unfortunately for him, he's like 30 or 35% Shih Tzu, and they have the little smashed faces, so he doesn't have all the hound equipment up here. He's got a little shorter nose because of his Shih Tzu. So he has all
I
of...
imagine Chihuahuas aren't the best sniffers neither.
No, but they have a longer snout than a Shih Tzu does. Shih Tzus like are those little like... Psh, and so he's got a lot of that in him, which shortened his snout and probably monkeyed with his olfactory stuff. And so he's got all the instinct, or maybe not all the instinct, but he's got a little bit of the instinct of a hound dog, but he doesn't have the equipment to really carry it out. He's really got the worst sniffer, I think, ever.
You can't even find his toy that's like a foot away from him.
We have to go looking for his little toy that he carries around on the inside all the time. And typically we'll find it within 5 to 10 feet of wherever he's looking.
Yeah.
Like, he's really bad sniffer. He just doesn't, you know what I mean? Dude, he's still looking down that street, making sure that dude doesn't come. Look at him. I gotta show people this shit. Look at him, he's a sentinel. You just still making sure he's not coming? That guy better not jog by again, huh? He's on duty, man. He's making sure that fool doesn't come running back. Posted up, yeah. He's ready for business. He's ready to get down to business.
And the packages haven't even come yet, so he's got about 2 more of those today.
Oh boy, well, he better just get ready.
You know what was weird?
What?
Remember that thing I put return to sender on? It got picked up. It had whatever the old tenant here's new address slapped on it, but then they brought it back here.
So stupid. Why they can't figure out mail? I'm going to build a guillotine with my stimulus check. I think you probably could. $600 if you know how to build things, you could probably do one. Nothing. I don't think.
Only for LARPing.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying you use it, but like the aesthetics. I don't think there's anything wrong with owning one.
Put a little plastic guard on it.
Sure. A little foam guard. Make sure it's safe and everything. But yeah, just for the aesthetics. Just put it out in a prominent place so that it's visible.
Do like a little miniature Ren Fair or some shit. Or
Yeah.
mini French Revolution cosplay.
Yeah.
Like
And you want people to know what it is, like, because it's going to be like a lot of people haven't seen them. So you get like a stuffed dummy and dress them up like, I don't know, like just pick any profession, like a banker, for example. Dress them up like a banker in a nice suit. And then you just like do demonstrations every 3 minutes where you lop the dummy's head off.
But, you know, like putting the guard back on if anyone gets too close, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, you put a big sign so people know what it is.
Right. Big neon sign that says banker, and then a big neon sign with an arrow that says guillotine.
Yeah.
Right. And then you just...
People can't see from far away.
Right. Yeah, you got to make sure that it's like a very, very proud display.
So they don't get too close if they're afraid of guillotines.
Right. A loose threat? Who am I threatening by chopping the head off of a dummy? What is every Halloween fucking decoration a loose threat? Come on. Come on. Like, I know for a fact my mom put a fake skeleton out in front of her house this year for Halloween. Was that a fake threat that, like, oh, people die if they come up here? I mean, come on. Just a decoration. It's just an aesthetic. You're going to buy a brick of hash with your 600? That's a good expenditure. Dude, I haven't seen, like, real hash in a long time. Like, good old-fashioned pressed hash shit. That shit just stopped coming through. And, like, even now that I'm in a legal place, like, I just don't really see it.
Well, there's no point packaging it that way no more.
I guess not. But, man, that stuff was legendary back in the day. Legendary. going to be a good sizzler right there.
Well, poor Muppet, you're wrong. People aren't getting a $1,200 stimulus check. They're getting a $600 one.
Yeah, they
A
got...
married couple will get $1,200 because there's 2 people.
Right. But, yeah. No. You got $1,200 like 8 months ago. And then if everything goes through like it's supposed to, you're going to get $600.
If you make under 70.
If you make under $75,000 a year, you'll get $600.
Now they might have made articles saying $1,200, but that was a deal that didn't go through.
Yeah. That probably would have been about the amount that you got, maybe even a little more, if the Democrats had taken Trump's offer
Of 1,200 checks right then.
1,200. It was a $2 trillion stimulus. He offered it right before the fucking election, and the Democrats thought it was more important that Trump not look good by delivering a stimulus when people needed it, and so they blocked it. And now it's been whittled down to a $900 billion stimulus and a $600 check.
So you know what they put in it? They put like $4 million in for democracy in Venezuela,
Sure.
or $4 billion or $4 million. I can't remember which.
Well, of course, you gotta make sure that you're packing in the pork.
And a new law making illegal streaming a felony.
Oh yeah, that got tacked on too.
Yeah, and whatever else got tacked on.
It's a little pork belly project for you. Tacked on.
The checks are only going to be like $100 billion.
So the rest of that will end up in the hands of companies.
Yeah.
So it's another big corporate bailout.
Yeah.
Big shower money on the big corporations, sprinkle a little bit on the populace. $600. Most people should be able to get by on $600 for another
6 months.
6-8 months of lockdown
And the moratoriums for rent, you still owe that once the moratorium's over. So if you didn't pay 8 months of rent, you owe that 8 months of rent when the moratorium's over.
That's a great thing that a lot of people don't know. It's true. The federal and state level rent moratoriums that were put into place, I'm pretty sure every last one of them has a provision that
They go to small claims
they can take you to small claims court to recoup that money later. So it's like, it wasn't a rent moratorium, it was a rent delay.
It was a deferral. Like
A deferment of your
like
rent.
The student loans are being deferred.
Right. So if you didn't make enough money to pay your rent and took advantage of the rent moratorium to stay in place and shelter in place as you were told to by your local, state, and national government, then once the moratorium ends, for a lot of people, January 1st, you're going to start getting letters from your landlord saying that you owe them about 6 months of rent.
Or 8
And of
months or
course you've got it, right?
Yep. You've been saving money this whole time.
Because you wouldn't have needed the rent moratorium if you didn't have it.
Yeah, and not even everyone got the rent moratorium. Like, if you were breaking the lease according to the landlord, they could still evict you.
Sure. Well, a lot of landlords scumbagged their way around it. There were people at the courthouse in New Orleans blocking landlords trying to serve evictions during the pandemic.
Because, like, a noise complaint, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Well, landlords have all kinds of ways to get around little edicts and shit.
You put nails too big in the walls, that's an eviction.
That's an eviction.
You let the yard get a little too dirty.
That's an eviction. Oh, I drove by and I saw you smoking a cigarette in the backyard. Well, no smoking lease. That's an eviction.
And because of the moratorium, us finding a place to rent was the biggest pain in the ass.
Oh my God, dude. I don't even want to go into. Dude, it was patently absurd how fucking insane it was for us to find a rental house right now during all of this shit. That was look, dude, not asking for fucking miracles here. Like, we're living in a small place. It's an old fixer-upper type of house and shit. And that's exactly what we were looking for. We weren't looking for some mansion or some perfectly positioned house. We were just looking for a house
That had a yard.
that had a yard in the back that was fenced in so that Dinar could run around a little bit in it. That was really the criteria. And I make more than enough money to pay the rent on that type of a place. Dude, people were just insane about it. Like I did like phone interviews with landlords where there were like multiple stages where it's like, congratulations, you've made it to stage 2. You'll have your phone interview on Tuesday. It's like, stage 2 of what?
And then there's a lot
Stage 2 of I give you money, you give me house? Like, what why is this so complex now?
There was a bunch of applications we filled out that we just got no answer for.
Stage 2 cancer, yeah. Yeah, it was like we filled out tons of applications, never heard back. When we did hear back from one, we would go through this whole process of filling out this, and every fucking application was different. There's no standardized application. So every application, some of them wanted some absurd shit.
Yeah.
What was some of the shit that they wanted?
Like
Cousin, like all known associates.
all relatives within the local area.
It's like, huh? It's like, what?
And
I'm
their
fine giving you...
addresses and their phone numbers.
Right. I'm fine giving you my name, but you want everybody I know's name?
Yeah.
What? It was just absurd. So we filled out, I don't even know how many we put in on.
Probably 10.
Probably 10 or a dozen fucking places at least.
Yeah.
Because we were working with a realtor too that was trying to help us a little bit, but there wasn't much that she could do, honestly. And so it was just like happenstance that we found this place. And when we found this place, the little old lady and little old man that owned this place told us that they had like hundreds of applications and shit. And so I got this place just from charisma.
And a little extra deposit.
Well, that too. I mean, like I was able to offer to pay forward some rent. So I instead of paying first and last, which is most places just want your first rent and a deposit now.
Yeah. Now it's
First and last
and
used to be
deposit.
standard. But yeah, no, I offered to pay forward the rent because I had a little money saved up, and that plus just me being a fucking charismatic guy. Like how many times I talked to that lady on the phone?
Called her 10 times.
I had to have like 10 conversations with this lady and one of her friends who is like a younger woman who I think is like takes care of her to make sure that the old lady doesn't get taken advantage of or whatever. But it was absurd. Do you know one of the things they asked me? They asked me, so at the time, me and Amelia were just dating.
Yeah, we weren't engaged.
We weren't even engaged yet. And that lady, not the lady that owns the house, but that lady that she had interview me that helps watch out for stuff or is helping watch out for her, asked, so how long have you been dating your girlfriend? And I was like, okay, well, whatever. That's really none of your business. But I told her at that time, it was like a year and a half or something. And she goes, okay, a year and a half. That's good. Stable relationship? And I was just like, yeah, stable relationship. It's like, how is that any of your fucking business? Like, this transaction is, you have house.
Yeah.
You want X amount of money for house.
Yeah.
I understand you want to make sure I'm not a piece of shit, so you do background check on me that shows that I have not destroyed house, I have no criminal record, I have no drug record. And then I provide you proof of income that shows I make more than enough money to rent house, and you give me house.
Yeah.
You don't be asking me about my relationships. It is none of your business who I'm dating.
Questioning where your money's coming from.
Yeah, like I had to try and explain to this old lady who doesn't even know about the internet, basically, what I do for a living. You know what I ended up telling her? We make t-shirts. That's the thing that I could get her to understand. We make t-shirts. We do t-shirts and we sell them online. Oh, I have a cousin that does that. And that was it. That was my in. And it's true. It was no lie. We do sell t-shirts. But it's just like, I tried to tell her I do a podcast, and she didn't even say anything. She didn't even go, huh? She just like she was like expecting me to say more, and so it's like, we do e-commerce stuff is what we call it. It's like we sell t-shirts a lot. We do a lot of t-shirt sales. Oh, okay. Dude, whatever. I'm already kind of a sweet boy anyway, so it's not, most of it's not an act. Like, I'm a really nice person. I'm not a I don't like being mean to people. I really don't. As much as you might think I do, because you've watched me in a performative way yell at people on the internet. Like, when it comes to my personal life and my personal dealings, I really don't like being that guy. I don't like yelling at people. I don't like people yelling at me. Like, I try and treat people the way I want to be treated always. So, it wasn't really me having to butter her up. It was just like making sure that all she saw was the better angels of my nature. You know what I mean?
You had to have a friend that lived near the area go meet her.
Yep. I had to have a friend that was willing to drive over, that lives near the area I'm living in now, go meet her and vouch for me and shit. And I would send that friend money, and that friend would take the money and make cashier's checks, because she wanted cashier's checks, but she didn't want them mailed. She wanted them I don't know. It was absurd. But we got it done. We got it here. We made it. Everything's fine now. Everything's gravy.
Oh no, asbestos is way more complicated than getting a job.
Yeah. I fell in love with the capitalism. What a nice young gentleman. He sells t-shirts on the internet, is what I hear.
You know what was funny yesterday?
What?
Like, my cousin, who's been a big fan of TJ for a long time, just realized who you were yesterday.
Really? That's funny. What? He's like, wait a minute. You're dating Paul's ego? You married Paul's ego? Like, yeah. Whoa. That's funny. I didn't know your cousin watched us.
Just one of them. One of, like, 12 cousins.
Right. Well, I have like 13 or 12 myself. Dude, smashing our families together. Oof. You talk about two big ass families colliding.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Both of us have got cousins on second cousins. Aunts, uncles coming out of our ears. Both of us are from blended families.
Yeah, so we got step.
So we've got step parents, step cousins, step uncles, step aunts, step fucking grandpas and grandmas, and step this and step of that, and step a do and step a d. So it's like doubling up your family size when you come from a blended family. Is that still what they call them?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, that was in my psychology textbook at least.
Yeah, that's what they called them the last time I was in a psychology class, but that was fucking like 20 years ago. So I don't know, man. The lingo may have changed. When I watched DP, I just knew you as TJ's friend. That's funny, dude. I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew me as that for quite a while.
Well, TJ was way more popular back then, too.
TJ and I didn't become friends until after I was already on DP.
Yeah.
That's the deep lore on that shit. TJ and I had like interactions on YouTube and stuff, so we were like internet comrades or whatever, I guess, but yeah. we didn't hang. We weren't like in each other's DMs.
Yeah, you weren't chatting.
We had each other's phone number because there was at one point we were planning on possibly doing a fundraiser where I'd fly out and appear with him on a blog TV thing and do a fundraiser with him. It was during Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah.
But that never materialized, and so we had each other's phone numbers, but that was it. Like, we didn't talk, we didn't call each other, we didn't text each other, we didn't DM each other. We interacted a few times via videos, and then I started coming on the show, and it wasn't until I flew to LA to be at the first meetup that I actually became friends with TJ. The lemon tree conversation, as we call it, between the two of us, and when we're talking about it to the community. You know, he's probably told this story a million times too, but it is an interesting way to meet somebody. Like typically, and I think it goes to show that like a lot of the times people, like I remember back in the day, a meme on DP was, TJ's right. Because I would agree with TJ a lot, and he would agree with me. But TJ and I really found out that I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't say that TJ and I are cut from the same cloth, but we have similar philosophical bents. And I didn't know that about him, like deep philosophical bents, not just the surface level. I knew he was an atheist, obviously, and I'm an atheist, and that's a philosophical bent. But we're talking about when we got into the deep nitty gritty of having that long rambling, this is what I believe about the world, and this is what I believe about the world, and how does it compare to you, and how does it compare to me? It's rare for me to meet a person that I hit it off with, like I hit it off with TJ, and I think,
especially with how different your backgrounds were too.
right, TJ, and I'm not trying to fucking shit on him for it, TJ was a silver spoon guy, literally born into a multi-millionaire family.
That LaSalle paid up.
Well, yeah, I mean, his dad got busted, and at some point, TJ and Scotty lost everything. So it's not like they don't know poverty. They certainly know poverty. Because when, you know, your dad, who's a multimillionaire, goes to jail for tax evasion or whatever it was, tax fraud, they take his money.
Yeah.
They seize his bank accounts, and all of the money and all of his assets become forfeit to pay his back taxes.
Yeah.
And then he goes to jail. He can't make money anymore, and all of a sudden, this family that had been relying on that income has none, or very little.
Yeah.
You know, and TJ and fucking Scotty had to learn that hustle. So that was a commonality. That's like an area of commonality between people who had totally different upbringings.
Yeah.
I had a working class upbringing for about half of my childhood, and then a lower middle class upbringing for the second half. Never was rich. Went through some times where I was legit full-blown poor. And worked my whole life at fucking menial jobs. Because that's all I knew. But a conversation like that, when it starts happening, it's almost like a battle. It's not like an aggressive thing where we were fighting each other, but it's almost like when you start to realize there's a connection there that goes deeper than, I just like this guy, I think he's funny. It's like, oh, this is a kindred spirit or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? It becomes a battle to try and find something that person is full of shit on. And so the questions get real deep and real convoluted. The conversation gets real tangential, and it was really awesome. You know, it was a really great way to meet a person and find out that you have a whole lot in common with them, at least philosophically speaking. Paul, did you see that Frank Zappa documentary that Alex Winter directed? No. Thank you for the $5. I didn't. I don't know why you would pay me $5 to ask me about a Frank Zappa documentary, but thank you. No, I haven't seen it. I love those deep 3 a.m. existential talks about someone's past. Yeah, we did all that. You know, TJ, like most of that conversation wasn't based on the mundane getting to know you, like this is where I came from, and this is who I knew when I grew up, and blah, blah, blah. It was more of a philosophical conversation. This is what I believe about the world. It's hard to couch it because it went on for 3 days. But it covered pretty much every topic that was important to TJ, every topic that was important to me. You know, there was honesty and a real sense of camaraderie about the whole thing by the end of it. And it was really when we became friends. It's when we moved from being dudes that knew each other on the internet to being guys that are buddies. And that's been kind of like the operating force, at least that drives TJ and I's relationship for the longest time. I didn't become friends with Scotty until I was on the show for a while. I think Scotty is a pricklier bush to become friends with, at least on the face of it. And for good reason. Most people are pieces of shit.
Those are like touristy clippers.
What?
The lighters.
Oh.
Touristy clippers.
Oh, yeah, they are. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Phoebe, Ophelia, Philosophy, Qualia. How's it sound? Qualia, dude. Go for it.
And there's the other one too.
Oh, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that one. Baby Trump is toying the idea.
What idea?
Man, take a timeout. Have yourself a timeout, my friend, and get your head together. Did I not time you?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Okay, now I've double timed you. You got a double timeout. Oh, let me plug this back in. Ugh. What's the story of you becoming friends with Galen, or do you guys not talk anymore? No, I talk with Galen, like not all the time, but
You're not TJ level friends.
yeah, I'm nowhere near like, well, you like TJ and Galen have known each other forever.
Yeah.
So and Galen and I have known each other for about 4 years, 5 years, I would say, in a personal context. We don't talk much, but when we do, it's always amicable, and I've had some really interesting conversations with Galen. I think he's a misunderstood guy. And I like him, and I consider him a friend, but I wouldn't say that he and I are like best of buds or whatever. And I think he'd probably say the same. I care about the dude, and I worry about the guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, kiss Pimp Monk for him.
Yeah, I kiss Pimp Monk for the dude. You know, I mean, you gotta care about somebody to do that. I fucking French kissed Pimp Monk in front of a bunch of people for Galen, so he's got to know I love him on some level. But yeah, as far as you asked, like, what was the story of us becoming friends? I started hanging out with Galen really primarily. I think we met before we moved to Louisiana. But once we moved to Louisiana, where Galen lives, I started to see Galen more often, especially because I was living with the Kirk brothers and their wives. And so it's like, you know, when Galen comes to visit, I'm going to be there. And so I got a lot of time with Galen. We sat and watched movies together and had long conversations where, like, he didn't really smoke weed with us, but we were in the little hot box studio. And so I guarantee you he was high as a kite sitting in there, just contact. When you blow out a whole building like that, when there's like 4 people in there smoking 2 blunts and he's passing on them, he's high anyway. I think that's how Galen likes to get high. He prefers to just sip it, you know what I mean, from a nice hot boxed room. Because that's where I've had some of my most interesting conversations with Galen, were in that context. It's kind of sitting out in that cold ass fucking shooting studio and hot boxing it.
Like
No, go ahead. That's sativa though, just know. Is Scotty married, and does he have kids? Hard to picture. They've talked about their kids before, but they don't put their kids online, and so I respect that. And I don't talk about their children at all, other than what they've revealed, which is that they have kids, and that's it. And yes, Scotty is married. What it do, what it does, what it is, what it was. Yeah, no, that's like the wisest shit, dude. I love that Scotty and Taylor are those types of parents that have like a digital awareness.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want my children to be like Instagram fodder and shit. That's such a fucking smart decision. Let them establish their own online presence when they're ready. Don't force them into it by creating because like some people will create accounts for their kids and start posting for them. It's
Or
like,
they'll
what?
just have their profile picture of their kids.
Right. They just don't do that shit. I still remember the one time Pimp Monk called you during a Highdeology and Galen was there. I wish I could remember what stream it was called, but it was hilarious. Yeah, I don't. That's very vaguely familiar to me, but very vaguely. When you do as many of these as I do, they really tend to blend together. That's why.
You've been on Pimp Monk's show too, so
Right, I've been on his show, so it's just like it all kind of blends together. I'm in front of the camera a lot, so it's like hard to remember when I've done what, and sometimes it's hard to remember that I've done something. It's like why I always preface stories now with I'm pretty sure that I've talked to you guys about this before, but I'll tell it again. Because I'm not 100% sure what you guys have heard and what you haven't. You know what I mean? At this point, I mean there's probably stories that I've told just on Highdeology 4 or 5 times probably, if you go back through.
And then there's a lot of times I think you assumed that I knew a story because of Highdeology, but you hadn't told me personally.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's times where I'll be like, I told you about this, and you'd be like, no. I'm like, oh, I probably told Highdeology about it then. Did you burn all your wood yet? Hell no, dude. It's going to take quite some time to burn all this wood. Quite some time indeed. Paul, don't have kids ever. They ruin your life. You don't got to tell me, bro. I'm too old. Amelia's not interested. We're good and compatible in that fucking way. We have children. They are just furry little 4-legged children. Dinor and Cricket are our boys, and we treat them like our babies, and that's it.
And it seems like every time we've done something significant, like a new step in our relationship, it's been 100% clear that there was no preggers involved.
Oh yeah.
Like 100%.
Of course. I mean, like
irrefutable proof that I wasn't pregnant.
Right. I mean, no. We've always been very fucking. You know what I mean?
It's just been like convenient. It's like every time. It's like clear evidence.
Yeah. I just tend to have bad timing. I haven't synced up with your cycle yet because you were on like what was it, Depot?
Yeah, so I didn't have it for like a whole 4 years.
Well, you went off it.
Yeah, but it took a whole year after.
Right, it took a year after you went off of it for your periods to come back again, and I'm definitely not in sync yet because I tend to plan our big events around your period, and I should be planning it around your period. You know what I mean? The Flushing streams were the best. I mean, I don't know, maybe for you guys, but those streams are honestly, like, if you go back and look at those streams, the flush is really funny. But the reason the flush happened is because the chat was just so inane and incoherent that I did an hour worth of show that's not worth watching. Because it was literally me just reading, like, poopy doopy scoopy loopy for, like, an hour. And then right towards the end, maybe there's 20 minutes of salt that's worth watching, and then you get flushed, and that's hilarious. So it's like, you know, those streams might be fun for you, but they're no fucking fun for me. Okay? The best streams, in my opinion, are the ones where there's good questions happening in the chat and a good flow of conversation and where my mood is right. You know, I'm not saying the chat is 100% responsible, because sometimes I come to these where my mood is not in the correct place to make a great show, and it's, you know, it's just me talking. The great thing about it is like I really don't look at this as like, I don't know. I guess in a loose sense it is a show, but I really don't look at it like that. This is just, I don't know, me hanging out with people in my fan base in my free time while I sit around and smoke bowls and talk stupid shit. And sometimes I flush them down the toilet because they're too stupid to live. You know what I mean? That's basically how I look at it all.
Still lit after. I'll take another hit.
Good streams. 20% salty troll streams, 80%. 20% salty troll streams, 80%. Hey. I'm not exactly sure how that fucking comes out in the wash or what you were trying to say with that, but sure. You paid me $5, so I agree. It's that simple. What artist has the most attractive fans? I mean, that depends on who you're attracted to.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure most artists of note have fans that would fit a whole lot of different body types and racial demographics and sexual, makeups and
Yeah.
genders and.
But definitely not Justin Bieber. Definitely that attraction is not there to his majority fan base.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, dude. I'm kind of ashamed to say this,
Yeah.
but Justin Bieber is kind of a twink, and I kind of think he's hot.
Yeah.
And so there's like I'm a 40-year-old bearded wizard, fat Russian weirdo looking dude sitting out by a burn barrel, and I think Justin Bieber's kind of hot. Sorry, I don't like his music. I would definitely want to like make sure he was into it, but get a ball gag involved so that none of his music came out while we were doing it, because that'd be a turn off. But as long as it was just,
It would be funny if like artists like that had like an auto tune like voice changer where they just talked in auto tune all the time.
yeah, there's hotter dudes, Paul. I didn't say he was the hottest guy. I just said I think he's attractive. I never said that I thought he was like the hottest dude. I just think he's an attractive guy. You're bi-curious? No, I'm bisexual. I'm not curious about it. I haven't been curious about it since I was about 6 years old. I mean, you also found Onision hot. I think you have a thing for bad boys. I didn't say, I don't know, dude. Onision is attractive, like back in the traditional sense. He's kind of twinkish, but he's got that androgynous thing going on,
Yeah.
where he can wear makeup and it looks good on him, but he's still got a really strong kind of jaw. So there's a little bit of masculine, a little bit of feminine going on for sure. Physically, if you take his horrible personality out of the equation, sure. Same thing with Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber, from all accounts that I've heard, I think he's mellowed recently, but like back in the day, he was just a dick.
He got ate up by some Lyme disease for a bit.
Yeah, I think it humbled him. Became all Christian and shit after that. Now he's like Mr. Humble Pants, but for a long time, like Justin Bieber was kind of like a well-known asshole. So we're setting aside. We're just talking about physical attraction here, which is one component for me. Like, to be honest with you, if I find somebody super fucking smoking hot, but their personality is like fucking disgusting to me, or just annoying or grating or off-putting in some way to me, I'm not gonna pursue that person to fuck that person. I'm not really interested in like that casual, no nothing involved kind of sex stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard a fucking story from you that wasn't a long-term relationship.
The only people that I've ever slept with in my life are people that I've been in long-term relationships with. That I've lived with for multiple years. So I don't have this high tally of people that I've fucked in my life. I don't have these. I didn't sleep around. In my 20s, I was already in long-term relationships, and I respected the desire for monogamy on both sides. Sometimes I was the only one in those relationships that did. But, you know what I mean? Like, I've been in a bunch of long-term relationships, and I started really young. Like, I was in a long-term relationship with the first girl I got laid by. I was 18 when I got laid. And that was a 5-year relationship. I think I broke up. Well, I didn't break up with her. She broke up with me when I was 22. So, yeah, 4 years. We lived together for 3 of those 4 years. And she finally got tired of, there's other stuff going on. It's not my story to tell because I don't want to make her seem like a bad person, and I'm not, because she isn't. I don't want to. I really am not the type of dude that would ever badmouth any of my exes. Like, it takes 2 to fucking tango. You know what I mean? So I brought my crushing, horrible depression, which at that time, early 20s and shit, was totally untreated. Other than my copious use of alcohol, opiates, and marijuana to mask the symptoms and to self-medicate it.
Oh shit, it's Rod in the chat.
Oh, Rod's in the chat? Root! What up, dude? Root, doot, 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 doot. But anyway, so you know what I mean? Like I went through that like period of my life, and I think she got fed up with that, and I don't blame her. Like looking back on it, she was tired of.
Both young and shit.
She was like outgoing way more than I was. You know me, I'm more of a homebody. Even when I'm like, it's not necessarily a depressive symptom of mine to be a homebody. I think I just am one. And so she was way more wanted to be, because like we were both young.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s, and I did a lot of drinking at my house and at friends' houses and at my mom's house. But she wanted to go like to bars and clubs and stuff. She was young and attractive, and I don't know, she wanted to go do that stuff, and I think she just got sick of me not being available to her in that way. Because I would go do those things with her, but only once in a while. And then the other times I would pawn off my not wanting to go on, you know, oh, this or that. But it was really just me wanting to stay in my little depressive hovel and ignore everything else in my life, all my relationships, all my friendships, all my family relationships. Let all those wither on the vine while I just like... That's really what depression does to me. Like, that's really, like, and I know it's different for other people. Like, I've been in group therapy a couple of times for depression and anxiety. And the major depressive group therapy that I went to when I was in college was really enlightening to me, because it opened up my eyes to the fact that, like, depression, like any other mental illness, comes with a slew of different symptoms. So if you're diagnosed major depressive, which I am, or clinical depressive is sometimes what your diagnosis will be. They're pretty much synonymous.
Or chronic.
Chronic depressive is another, right? So whatever you want to call it, right? When you have that diagnosis, you kind of assume like, oh, okay, so all the things are fucked up in my life. When I feel like I hate myself, when I feel like I can't get out of bed, when I feel like every task is too overwhelming to do, when I feel awful all day and don't know why, when I start withdrawing into my own little weird bubble where it's like nothing matters anymore. Like I have to shut out my friends. I have to shut out my girlfriend. I have to shut out my dog. I have to shut out everything and just become this little black hole where I just sit and fester about how I hate everything and I hate myself. Like that's what everybody experiences. No, it really isn't, dude. Some people experience things that are like that. There's a lot of people that do. Other people experience depression in very different ways. And once again, a group therapy session to me is sacrosanct. So I ain't going to talk much, even generally, about things that I've heard other people say about their shit and those things. I will tell you what I said, because that's my story to tell. But if you're ever going to do any kind of group thing, therapy-wise or otherwise, like AA, those meetings are fucking sacrosanct. You don't go home and tell your wife so-and-so is on this drug, or so-and-so fucks hookers and can't get over it, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? You don't do that. That's like a violation of the rules of the group, and a violation of the ethic of the group.
Yeah.
It's not a place for gossip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I took that very seriously, even as a young man, and I was in that group therapy, the one that I'm referencing here, as a very young man. And I don't even remember the names and very, very little about the faces of some of those people's stories that I heard, but they're not mine to tell. That was like, you know, that was an environment where they didn't want that broadcast to people, and I wouldn't do that. But let's just say that people experience fucking depression very differently than me. The end result might be the same. Alienation from their family, alienation from everything that they enjoy, a deepening sense of emptiness and worthlessness and uselessness and hopelessness, and an inability to see any kind of beauty and any kind of wonder in anything anymore, and just kind of like the whole process of it might be the same. That's depression writ large, but the way people express it and the way it expresses itself in people's lives very different, person to person.
And there's a lot of comorbidities too, which adds whole other layers to shit.
My anxiety disorder was undiagnosed for years and years and years. I wasn't properly diagnosed with an anxiety disorder until I was in my 30s. So I was treated as a major depressive, which is a proper diagnosis, I think, for me, at the very least, a good starting diagnosis for me. But I have the feeling that, quite honestly, it's been so many years since I've been in front of a diagnostician, like a psychiatric diagnostician,
Yeah.
that things have changed and diagnoses have gotten better, and I might be something I don't even know. But what I do know now is that I have an anxiety disorder and I have a depressive disorder. Both are severe and both are comorbid. So one drives the other, drives the other, drives the other, drives the other, drives the other. Here's my cycle. My cycle is my anxiety makes me want to lock down into a little tiny prison cocoon. And the result of that is a deep sense of fucking depression at being locked away from all of the things that I like, and a kind of rolling sense of hatred for myself that builds and on top of that, because I'm locked down, things pile up, and it's like more reasons for me to criticize myself. So it feeds itself. I get all locked down. I miss something like paying a bill, and I have to pay a fee or something, and I go, fucking, if I was just not this way, that bill would have been paid on fucking time. And I'll just sit there and I'll beat myself up over a $26 late charge or whatever the fuck it is. And ping pong. You see what I mean? And they feed each other.
That's probably why, like, I started sucking at school, even though I didn't have a problem with the actual content. You know, just feeling like shit, and then letting homework pile up and getting to the point where I'd fail a class.
Sure. That's why I dropped school. I mean, ultimately, at the core of all of those failed attempts at going to school, I was doing fine in my class. Dude, one of the times I went back to school, I wrote an essay in an English 1A class. Didn't even take it serious. It was just like, I don't even really think it was meant to be taken seriously. It was like the first essay of the year, and it was like, blah, blah, blah. I wrote an essay. I got an email from my professor after I turned it in asking if she could submit it to some fucking competition. And she wrote a big old paragraph about how wonderful it was and how touching it was and how amazing I was as a writer, and was I a writer, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not. And I told her I'm not. I'm just taking the class because I want to be an actor. And I want to be a teacher of acting. And she wanted me to fucking she wanted me to like write a novel or some shit.
Be a TA or some shit.
Right. She's tried, and she did. I told her, you can submit it. I didn't win anything. It didn't make it to the final round of whatever the fuck it was. But you know what I mean? Like, I was doing good in college. The shit got on top of me. I started second guessing myself because there were certain classes that I was forced to take that I struggled with. And I started withdrawing from all of my other obligations out of this desire to focus what little energy that I had on the school shit. And that was a bad idea a lot of the times, because like the things that were on the chopping block often were my relationships. Friendships, romantic relationships at whatever level that they were at the time it happened. And that's really like learning to balance out what I have and learning to manage and mitigate the symptoms of my fucking mental problems has been the battle of my fucking life, dude. I won't even lie to you guys. If you want to, like, I've been through some fucked up shit. You guys have heard those stories. And from that fucked up shit flowed some of the mental shit we're talking about. I have PTSD. But I'm telling you, man, the hardest thing I ever did in my life, and the hardest thing that I do in my life still to this day, is manage my own fucked up brain chemistry. And
you never cure it. It's like you just have to keep applying coping mechanisms for the rest of your life.
Right. You don't have a choice because there is no cure. There's no magic pill or magic therapy that makes somebody with a fucked up brain chemistry. I mean, I'm not saying don't get treatment. You can get better, but there's no fixing it. You just have to learn to live with it in a way that isn't obtrusive and where you got a little measure of peace and fucking tranquility in your life if you can find it. And that's, you know, it's like being an addict or something. It's like if you're an addict, you're always an addict, you know? Even if you quit, you're always in just another cigarette away. You're always just another fucking spike away from a habit. And it's the same thing with mental illness. It's like if you're actually diagnosed and you suffer with this shit, there ain't no cure. So you just got to learn to live around it, live with it. Plan for it when you can, listen to it when you have to, and shut it up when you can. Lean on the people that are closest to you when you need them. Get help if you get real bad. I mean, that's really what you do. I don't know. You gotta fucking care about yourself, I'll tell you that much. That was a hard-won lesson for me. And it's one of those lessons that I hope to fucking try and impart on as many people as I can as I go along. I'm an introvert with extreme social anxiety. I have a hard time even talking to people. I hate therapy, tried meds, but they made me zombie. Quarantine definitely made it worse, too. Any tips? Try again. Just because you didn't like therapy once or twice doesn't mean you stop. You know how many therapists I've seen in my life? I'm a 40-year-old man. And let me go back in my mind. Give me a second because I'll have to think about it. But I'm going to give you guys a rough estimate of the amount of different mental health professionals that I've seen in my life. And once again, I'm going to omit in my mind people that I saw once for a recommendation for medication or some shit. But I've seen a bunch of those too. I'm going to talk just people that I sat down and talked with, either doctors that managed my medication that would talk to me about what was going on in my life and how my medication was doing, or doctors that I would sit like in the typical Freudian sense and do talk therapy with. So just give me a second, then I'll get you guys like a rough estimate of that. Because it started when I was 12 or 13 years old, when my mental illness really started to manifest itself. My parents, in their defense, were very progressive with getting me help as soon as they recognized that there was something not right with me. But at the time, mental health treatment was it was nascent in a lot of ways in comparison to what it was now.
On something physical.
Right. I was told so many times, just have him lose weight. Like they would take me to all these doctors. Yeah. Just have him lose weight. And I would. And I would still hate myself, and I would still be depressed. It had nothing to do with my weight. My weight was a comorbid factor. It was like because I was living so sedentary, because I was so fucking depressed. But it was like losing the weight didn't make me happy all of a sudden. It didn't fix my brain chemistry.
I mean, maybe that mess they put you on.
Oh my fucking God. So if you guys want to hear a trippy fucking story, when I was 13 or 14 years old, so we're talking about my freshman year of high school, right? I was put on a drug cocktail that was referred to as fen-phen. One of the drugs was phentermine, and one of them was phentermine, I think. And it was called fen-phen. And I can't remember which side of the drug, but one of them is now banned by the FDA because it caused people to have holes in their heart valves and shit. It was basically speed with an appetite suppressant. And this was the new wonder drug in like 1992, 93, 91, right around in that era. And I went to a doctor looking for mental health help. My parents took me to yet another doctor who was like, you know, he's a really good candidate for fen-phen. And I remember, you know, when you're that age, your mom goes to your doctor's appointments with you. So she's like, what's that? Doctor explained it to her. Oh, it's this new drug. Helps with weight loss and appetite suppression, and we've had a lot of success with it with a lot of patients. And my mom, you know, wanting me to be happy and thinking like, okay, he's depressed because he's fat. It wasn't understood back then that these things came. It was just beginning to be understood amongst a lot of people, especially my parents and their generation, that these things that were being expressed in some of their children came from something other than their children just being rebellious or whatever. You know, it's like kids with autism and stuff. It was probably like back in my day, they were probably just thought, oh, they're just a wallflower. You know, you need to just throw them out there and get them out there and force them to socialize and stuff. It just wasn't like mental illness wasn't fully understood by my parents' generation, but they were really trying, doctor to doctor. But Fen was one of these drugs I was on, and I was on it for like 6 or 8 months. Lost a bunch of fucking weight on it, stayed depressed as fuck.
But high.
But high. Like, I remember, like, I buzzed my way through all my fucking schoolwork. I'll tell you that shit. And I was on Fen when I was the narrator for Our Town, which is one of the biggest roles you can have in a play. It has more dialogue than pretty much any role in a play. Now, it may not be the top, but when it comes to like common plays, if you're the narrator in Our Town, you literally talk through the whole show. You play multiple characters in the show. Like, the narrator will stand there in a spotlight in Our Town, talk to the audience, and deliver a very carefully prepared monologue. And as they're doing it, put on an apron and tie the apron behind their waist, and the spotlight will follow them to the stage, and then they'll go back behind a counter, and then the lights will come up, and people will walk in, and they're the shopkeeper now in the scene, or they're the guy that's pumping gas in the scene, or they're the priest in the scene. There's one point where you give a whole monologue as the narrator about the next part of it, and as you're doing that, you're putting on like priest garb and shit to get somebody married. And you're putting on the collar and you're putting on the thing, and then you walk back and you stand behind the pulpit, and then the lights come up and it's a marriage scene, and you're the fucking priest, so you got all the lines. It's crazy. It's a crazy fucking thing, and I got to tell you, if not for phentermine or phenteramine or Fintrol or whichever one it was, I probably would not have been able to make it. But man, yeah, dude, my grades went up. I'll tell you that goddamn much. My grades went up. My sleep went down.
Shit, we gotta follow the situation.
Oh yeah, did you hear that like salty honk?
Yeah.
Cause that dude, oh shit, look at this pass. Oh man. Salty Walty Woo, dude. He wants to be doing like 90 miles an hour down that road because he's got that big balls.
Dodge Challenger, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that was I couldn't tell. It was either a Mustang or a Challenger, but nobody gets a car like that unless they really want to be angry on the road. Yeah. Like somebody's just like driving like a normal speed down the road, and he's like, dude, do you see what I'm driving?
Neighborhood with kids.
Yeah, with a bunch of kids and animals running around in it. And he's back there honking, going like, don't you see what I'm driving in? Don't you see my black Dodge Challenger? You better speed. What a douche. What a douche pimple, dude. It's always those people or the Beamers. They drive horribly. Yeah. Paul, thoughts on hashtag force the vote? I talked about it last night, and I gave my thoughts on it last night. So if you're interested in the answer to that, I would recommend watching last night's stream. Because I went pretty in-depth with it, or at least as in-depth with it as I can, as a guy that's kind of divested himself from electoral politics and doesn't really follow it all that closely anymore. And I really don't seek to involve myself in it much. But I gave a full breakdown of what I think of what I consider to be both sides of the argument and where I stand on it. And you can go find that in last night's stream.
The chat hasn't been terrible this morning, but it has resulted in a lot of bans.
I mean, I did a mass unban at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
And that's when you know, the bans have to happen fast and, you know, fancy free for a while, and then I do another mass unban for a while, I just never tell anybody when I'm planning on doing the mass unban. That's how I'm hoping some people will just abandon ship, but they just keep checking, you know. But I can't in good conscience have like a ban list of 200 people or something. When it gets that high, I clear it.
Go get it.
The best cars are shitty 90s cars that are all souped up and fast. Yeah. We used to call them, I think it's probably a little bit racist, but we used to call them rice rockets. Because a lot of the guys, a lot of the Asian dudes that lived nearby us had really souped up, like, Honda Civics.
Yeah, it
Where
was
it's like
the fucking not Need for Speed, that other.
well, no, it's very much like Need for Speed.
Yeah.
It's like they take a little car,
Yeah.
like, and a lot of people, it was just a matter of like not having the money to buy a more souped up. Like Subarus were a badass car. I remember that everybody wanted for street racing and shit. But Subarus are an expensive all-wheel drive kind of rally style car.
But they also like they stereotype a lot of Asians. Like that's the big gang of car dudes. All
Right.
Asians.
No. Well, where I grew up, it was Asians and Hispanics. And car culture, like I'm just gonna say, like where I grew up, that's who had it, really. Well, I mean, like I gotta be honest with you. If you want to be real about it, white folk were like more of the restorative type of car culture.
Yeah.
So white folk would have like a
Jeep or whatever.
yeah, fix up an old Jeep or fix up an old jalopy and make it run again and make it look cherry again, and that's like what white people like to do. And like I'm not saying only white people, but I'm just saying on the balance, that's how they contributed to car culture in Cali where I grew up. But the real culture pulsed from the Hispanic community, which was very, very, at least in my area, based on lowriders when I was growing up. Oh, dude, it was so cool. I used to want a fucking 64 Impala just like Snoop Dogg had so bad back when I was a kid. I still kind of do. I still think they're a fucking really cool looking car to drive around.
See, I've had too many bad experiences with old cars. I told you I drove a car that was older than me, my first car.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not talking about a clunker. Like, I would never do it unless I was rich, because I don't have the acumen to fix one up myself. So I would just buy a cherry-ass fucking 6'4" Impala. And we could pick how we want it painted, you know, and just cruise around in it on a nice summer day. Because those are cool fucking cars, dude.
I'm salty about that car now, because I drove without AC for a year and a half.
Yeah. No, dude, that's fucking ridiculous. And you mean like both heat and cool?
No, just the AC.
Oh, just the cool. Well,
Like,
that's
like,
bad.
It's 90 degrees and you're driving 30 minutes.
Right.
To work.
It's 110 degrees in the car, and you've got all the windows down, and you're just like.
And the car was like at its absolute limit, going 60.
You drove what we call a piece of shit, baby.
Yeah.
Or a hoopty.
Yep.
That's what we called it back in the day, a hoopty.
I mean, it was probably great when it was in its prime.
Yeah.
It lasted that long.
I mean, dude, if it lasted that long, and honestly, like I look back, I had a couple hoopties. But you know what? They got me to and fro. And I never paid a whole lot of money. Did you pay a whole lot of money for your hoopty at least?
No.
Okay, good. See? So the hoopty was pretty cheap. And I mean, it got you back and forth. It did what it had to do before it croaked off, and you got what you needed out of it. You know what I mean? At that time. So I look back kind of fondly on my hoopties. Yeah. But I had a couple.
It got to one point where it wouldn't start, and it was a hella rainstorm, and I waited about 4 hours for AAA to show.
Yeah. Well, dude.
Oh, you know what?
That sucks. You know AAA should not take fucking 3 hours to show anywhere.
You know what was a real hoopty?
What?
Dodge Neons. My mom had a Dodge Neon.
Oh, dude, I will never buy a Dodge vehicle.
Yeah.
Period, point blank, because I had a friend that had a Neon.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, I was like, dude, what you're paying to keep this Neon running is a car note. You realize that. You could go get a brand new car.
Yeah.
Save up a little money in the Neon.
Yeah.
Take a down payment down there and get a brand new fucking car. Like, why are you driving? Dude, that was the hoop-de-hoop.
Dude, one time the engine just stopped on the freeway.
Oh, yeah. I've had cars that were like that. Dude, my most memorable hoopty came after I lost the car that I was carjacked in. So that car was like a early 1980s Ford Tempo,
Like it was just
4-door.
fucked after they recovered it. So
Yeah, it was driven off of an overpass.
Yeah.
So not all the way off, but they went up. They were heading up onto an overpass, and then they went off of it and broke the front axle. The car was pretty much totaled. The car itself was probably worth $600, and the repair would have been like at least double that. You know, so it was like junkyard it. I was insured, so the insurance paid me about $600, which was the value of the car, and there was that. And so I took that $600 and whatever I had saved at the time, which wasn't much. It was like I probably had $800 or maybe $1,000 in my hand. And I went looking for another car, and I found this 1994 Dodge Daytona. And if you guys go look that up, dude, it's kind of a Blade Runner looking car.
Yeah.
It was red.
That's how Dodge gets away with it. They make cool looking cars.
It was like sleek, you know what I mean? It like looked like a sporty little car, and it actually when I got in it to test drive it and I revved it, it had like a V6 in it, which is like I'd never had. Like my little Ford Tempo was like a little 4-banger or a little 5-speed. Yeah. It's like not a very fast car. I was not used to driving fast cars, and all of a sudden I got this car that like when I hit the gas, instead of going like bing 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 bing, you know, like it goes, and I'm like, what? I want this car, because it had a nice stereo in it already. I remember all I had to do was pull the speakers out of, because those weren't busted, pull the speakers out of the Tempo and slap in my amp and all that shit, and it was ready to bump. So I was like, this car. Dude, almost as soon as I drove it off the lot, I was driving it home. And the gauge cluster, you know, all the lights that are on at night, because it was in the evening when I bought it and the sun was going down. So all the gauges were on, I had the lights on. Lights were flipped up. The gauge cluster flickered and went out. And I was like, uh-oh. So I went.
Check engine lights?
Yeah, it had a check engine light. That was on within a month of me owning it, and just stayed on no matter who I took it to, because it, you know, it was just like, it was a hoopty. Somebody had driven the piss out of that car. And then the little shady fucking used car lot that I bought it from for like $800 cleaned it all up and put a cheap ass coat of red paint on it just for a rube kid like me to go like, ooh, zoom, zoom. Yeah, I'll take this one. I got my first traffic ticket within 2 months of owning that car, because it was a sports car and it looked red.
Dude, my speedometer didn't even work on mine.
Oh my God. So you were just guesstimating?
I had to guess based on the RPM and other cars around me.
Oh my God, bro. That's fucking tragic. That you should have.
I never got a speeding ticket though.
You should have took that in, because that would have been that should have been not that expensive.
The odometer didn't work at all.
I mean, who cares about that shit? You don't even want to know how many miles on a hoopty, so that's good. The odometer's fine, but like you should have went in and had them do like a little $20, because it can't be more than like $40 to fix your speedometer.
Every time I tried to fix it, my ex was like, "That's too expensive."
Your ex is a dick.
Yeah, he was like, when I got
your ex was stupid as fuck. I would never let you jump in a car that had no speedometer, honey. That's absurd.
And then when the engine went out, it was $300, and he's like, "Oh, that was too expensive. You got ripped off." I'm like, "You're out of town, and I don't have a car."
Dude, that's a dick move. That's a stinky, cheesy dick move right there, dude. You don't like, dude, I would never, ever, ever. I wouldn't drive that myself. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't let myself drive a car with no speedometer, let alone anybody that I fucking cared about 2 shits. You know what I mean? And had any control over their lives. Like, I would be like, if I could give somebody $20, I'm going to give them $20 so they can have a speedometer. Like, what the fuck? It's too expensive. And see, like, that dude didn't know anybody that was a mechanic.
He did.
That's my fucking thing!
He drove all the way down to Mississippi to do it, though.
Oh, what, did he fix it?
No.
He didn't fix the speedometer?
No.
Whatever.
I got by with no speeding tickets by the seat of my fucking pants.
Yeah, well, you're smart.
I did run
You
the
probably
light.
just followed the flow of the traffic and
Yeah.
shit, which is really the best you can do anyway. But not having a fucking speedometer is like, dude, that's the most basic ass shit. It's like not having a steering wheel or not having a windshield or something. It's like, you know, it's like there's a couple of things you got to have to drive a car on the freeway and shit. And one of them is a fucking speedometer that works and that is accurate.
Yeah, it was 100% RPM. I'm like, I go about 1.5 when I'm going 25 to 30.
Did you listen to it shift into the gears too?
No.
You didn't like listen for the
I mean, I guess I kind of did. I got like 60 was about when it was screaming, "Stop doing this."
Fucking poor Hoopty. But I'll tell you what, dude. You probably did the same. I drove my Hoopty right into the fucking ground.
Yeah.
One day, it just fucking quit.
Yeah.
It like died like a person.
Yeah.
I was on the road with it, right? And this was months after I had that car for like a year and a half. So like I said,
Yeah.
Hoopties have grown in my esteem. But one day I was just on the way to work.
Yeah.
And it made this horrible noise. It was like,
Yeah.
and it just, and I was like, and I fucking turned the key and it was just like, there was nothing happening. So it was over. I had it towed to a place and they were like, dude, I can't even remember what they told me, but it was ridiculous. It just seized up or
You
some
know what
shit.
else it did? You know, like the plate at the bottom of the car, like the plastic metal at the bottom of the car that holds all the guts in?
Yeah.
That was ripped all the way open.
Jesus. Yeah, that's hoopty hoop. I had one that had a bouncy muffler once. Yeah. My dad scammed me one time.
Yeah.
He scammed me, dude. He totally fucking scammed me. Because he knew I had that hoopty.
Yeah.
And he knew I was constantly like having to pay a little money here to get the brakes changed on it. And pay a little money here to get the fucking catalytic converter changed so to pass smog. Pay a little money here to fix this. You know what I mean? He knew it was eating me up. And I was looking for another car. And he was like, when he heard my car had died, he was like, boy, do I have a deal for you? I was like, you do? You found a car? He was like, I want you to buy my car. And I was like, at this point, my dad had an absurd car. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Is there a car called a Cadillac Skyline?
I don't know.
Can you look it up for me? It would have been like a 90s car, and I think it was a Cadillac Skyline. It was one of these like luxury rich person sedan. Like luxury rich person sedan, and I think it was a Cadillac.
Was it like that?
No, that's a fucking SUV. This was like a four-door car that was like a more modern version of the old Cadillac. Riviera.
Oh, yeah?
No, it wasn't a Cadillac. It was a Buick Riviera.
Oh.
That's what it was. A Buick Riviera. And that motherfucker inside, it was all leather.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the car. It had heated seats. I'd never had a car that had heated seats. You know what that shit had? Power seats. I'd never had a car that had power seats. Power everything. Power everything.
Yeah.
Had a 6 CD changer in the back. Yeah. Loaded up before you go, 6 CD change. Back then, I was like, what? I can't afford your car. And he was like, dude, I'll give you a deal. Make me a price. What do you got? And I'm just stupid, and I told him exactly what I had. I was like, $800. And he was like, sold. And I was like, I was like, Dad, I don't need charity. I can go get a car. He's like, no, seriously, son. I want you to have something that's nice. And I was like, all right, Dad. Well, here's the thing that you need to know about owning a car like that. If you have a car like that, they are really nice to own.
Yeah.
But you have to take them in for maintenance, like literally like twice a month.
Yeah.
You have to take them in. They have to be babied. Mm-hmm. They have to be like shoobity woobity woobity. They have to be recalibrated and tweaked, and they have to have their little nipples pinched.
Yeah.
And their little buttholes diddled. and they've got to have like the mechanic has got to press this and he's got to do that and he's got to change this and he's got to do that and they keep it all in working order, sir. Yes, your chariot is ready to go, my sir. And I was like working at Starbucks, living in a fucking shithole condo, barely making enough to get by. And I'm driving around in this absurd rich person car like, don't mind if I do, yes. But I can't afford to take the fucking thing in twice a month. Oh, okay. So anyway, long story short, I fucking, it ended up like the brakes went out on it, right? Or it started to go out. I started to hear this like, so I took it in and thinking, oh, I just need a brake job. Well, a brake job on a car like that's like $1,000 or more. And I was like, can you just give me the cheap ones? And they're like, they don't make the cheap ones. You have a special tire in the back that's extra wide, and you've got this, and you've got a special, this type of brake, and it's like, it's $1,000. That is the cheap one. And I was like, Dad, you motherfucker. Anyway, that's where I got to end it because I got to go work now, I guess. See you guys later. Bye.